Hello everyone. This is a recording for performance management in the views of improving the quality of the service that healthcare organization provide. And this is the module number 5. So what is performance management? Performance management is a contributor to overall organization performance, which was essentially about measuring, monitoring, and enhancing the performance of staff. So its performance management is about staff management in the view of improving their overall performance that will contribute to the overall performance of the organization. That involves measuring, monitoring. So now it poses the questions of what indicators that we use to measure and ways of measuring, how we're going to do that. So it's a subjective based on the perception of themselves or others, or objective based on hard evidence. And this is a question for us to consider when we talk about performance management. And that was one of the biggest challenges of measuring performance of staff, is how to develop indicators and use appropriate methods to generate objective information that can guide decision making or guide professional development design. Performance management is a tool and processes to improve organizational performance by strengthening the linkage between 3 levels of performance, that's including individual, team, and organizations. So it's by improving performance of individual and teams, ultimately we improve the performance of the organization, means the service outcomes as well, and also include managing unsatisfactory performance and recognizing satisfactory performance. I think we understand the importance of recognizing satisfactory performance, and I think we all agree that the most challenging part is managing underperforming. And it sounds easy, but in fact, because of different regulation, working relationship conflicts, this is not an easy thing to do. So we get on to how to manage underperforming staff later on, and it will be part of our online discussion topic as well. And Landrum and Baker proposed a conceptual framework for performance management, and I think still unique and valid for nowadays to guide the performance management system design for healthcare organization. It is an integrated performance management approach to be used and adopted by the organization, which including firstly establishment of performance standards. That's the target goals and indicators to improve practice. So the performance standards should be linked to improving practice. And secondly, is establishing performance indicators that can measure against the standards that we set. Thirdly, a clear and comprehensive documentation and reporting process that allowed the feedback to be provided and also allow feedback on actions as a result of the previous feedback received. The fourth is to establish a quality improvement program. So the reason that we measure performance is not because we want to punish people, not because we just want to know what the weaknesses are. It's because we want to identify the weaknesses and areas of improvement so that we can put in place a plan or strategies that we can improve performance. So we need to have a quality improvement program in place for the organization so that to make the performance management with a clear goal, a valid process, and also is not intimidating and is become a positive experience for staff and the organization. So the conceptual framework for performance management should include a number of elements. One is direction setting. Throughout the organization, it's clear the purposes of performance management, how to measure against the target, who's accountable to whom. So who will be responsible for this process? If issues are identified, who to report to, who will be making the decision of the next step forward, who's going to be monitoring the improvement as a result of the performance management outcomes or measures as a result of the feedback they've received. And management of change in a cohesive manner. So we need to use a consistent approach, and we also use a credible approach in managing the change. Performance management is about identifying the weakness that and areas that are not doing well. Therefore, we can apply changes. So change management principles should apply. And also performance management is a continuous process. It's not a one-off. So it needs to be designed in the way that happens regularly and progressively to achieving performance improvement. There's three key elements that we can see in a good and effective performance management system. So we need to take this into consideration when we design the performance management system for the organization. First is alignment. That's establishing performance management system which work with the texture of the organization. Okay, so that's including we need to have the CEO on board, the board of directors, various management that are working toward the same goals. Then also the goals will align with the organization's strategic directions. Second is credibility. So that the performance management system is developed in a fair and open process and in consultation with different levels of the organization, so that the measurement targets are set in the way are really measuring core performance issues or core performances, and identify core performance issues in the way of improving overall performance of the organization. So you need to engage people and gain their trust, and the purpose of managing performance is for improvement but not for punishment. Third is integration. We establish performance management system as part of the organizational planning. So it's not about one-off. It's not about for a specific purpose for that period of time, but it's part of organizational planning all along and part of organizational strategies in improving performance management. So alignments including CEO leadership, nature of the business take into consideration, and considering the organization's history when designing or revising performance management system, consideration the maturity of the system that in which the organization operates, and also the maturity of the performance management system that have been applied to the organization. And we consider industry climate and values. So the performance management is not only looking at the organization level, but also looking at the system level, because in fact people are recruited from the system and are influenced by the industry climate, and what kind of skills are required will be impacted by the changes of the needs of the population. So all these external factors need to be taken into consideration. Credibility. We need to keep the system under review, move to greater simplicity. Sometimes less is more. So to simplify the process in managing the process and reporting and feedback reporting processes is fair. If you're measuring junior staff, you've got to measure the senior staff as well. Although the targets may be different, but eventually should align to the organizational overall performance goals. And the management buy-in. So the managers are support management level, senior management and board are supportive and support the management performance systems that in place. And the performance management system not only recognize good performance, but also in the view of committed to managing underperformance, not punishing, but managing. It will report the outcome of the performance management measure, outcome or the changes as a result, and outcomes and action follow-up actions as a result of feedback received. Adopt a multi-source feedback system, not just listening to one, but listen to people from diverse background and different levels. For example, if you want to know how one person managers perform, organization can apply a 360-degree feedback process rather than looking at how you perceive yourself, but also look at how the managers observed the performance of that person, the peer, from the customers, and take into consideration of the self perception of performance as well. Performance management system is about the staff. It's about helping them to improve. Therefore, they should have the ownership. So the performance management system are designed in consideration of the staff preference, in consideration of the job requirement of the staff and different staff levels, and also take into consideration of the difficulties they encounter. And as I said it before, it should be part of the organizational planning process. Therefore, the training, professional development will be part of what performance management should be, and there should be budget allocated for training and professional development as a result of performance management measure. And other essential elements of performance management, including relevant knowledge and skills in the implementation of performance management. So we need good analytical and interpretation skills. Performance management involves collecting data and conducting measurements. So we need to be able to analyze those data, understand the story behind what the data tells. We need effective leadership and team building skills. Improving performance is we need to improve performance in four different levels, from individual, team, or group, organization, and system. So teamwork is a core elements of performance management, and team performance and staff performance as well. We need to have specific strategy to be developed by the organization to support also managers and allow sufficient measurement and feedback. So managers suffer from time pool and overworked challenges. So how we are going to allow time for management to conduct the measurement, listen to the feedback, and to commit to professional development and training. This is one of the considerations of performance management. We can come up with many ways of encouraging, recognizing good performance. But when it comes to underperformance of staff, it's difficult. A lot of time managers choose to just sit on it, hoping that will go away. But in fact, underperforming is indications of things not going well. Indications of actions are required. Therefore, sitting on it is not going to go away. And management's failure to address underperformance is a persistent factor that undermines the credibility of performance management system overall. It is one of the hardest skills of a manager. So if you measure performance, you only recognize good performance without actually the view of managing the underperforming staff, improving the situation so to help staff become competent in the job that they're doing, then the credibility of the performance management system is challenged. Some factors that work against effective management and poor performance, including lack of preparedness by managers to take the issues on. So when the manager take on the job, I think good induction of the the processes the organization apply, this should be useful. The procedural or process frameworks the organization established to handle underperformance. So the organization needs to have a clear protocol in managing underperformance. So staff are aware of the process, the managers aware of the process, and then there's no bias involved. The organization will take full responsibility of the process rather than putting the pressure on the shoulders of the managers. Reviewing the literatures, and this is what I can sum up that we can learn from the past experience. One is performance management is not one-off action, but an interactive process involving the spelling error. Key strategies of measuring, monitoring, and evaluation. Clear, realistic, and measurable targets have to be established prior to the introduction of performance management to allow the strategy to be put in place. We require competent professionals, necessary support from policymakers and funding agencies in improving performance monitoring and implementations are required. We need two-way improvement of the management process, which involves a multi-level approach across an organization. So it's not just managing up, also bottom-up, managing down as well. Manager get feedback from the staff, and manager provide feedback to the staff. This two-way process needs to gain support from the culture of the organization as a whole. So any changes you make to the performance management processes that need to reflect on and respect the culture of the organization so that it not only get the buy-in of the management but also get support and compliance from the staff. An appropriate reward system needs to be developed for senior house managers and also not just managers but staff as well. Recognizing good performance is one of the key efforts that we need to make in order to improve the morale of the staff or the organization. And many evidence have proven good morale positively linked to good performance of the organizations.